Yes, hello. It is about 6 p.m. here, 5:59 to be exact. Yeah, we're just listening to a few things.
Your wallet is about to take a hit you never saw coming. If I-95 is any part of your life, if you drive it daily, occasionally, or even just once in the next few weeks, you need to freeze everything right now and hear this. Tomorrow morning, the most aggressive highway enforcement overhaul in American history goes live on the busiest road in this country. And the cruelest part of it is this. There are no warnings, no second chances, no officer tapping your window with a friendly heads up. The system sees you, identifies you, charges you, and drops a notice in your mailbox, sometimes before you have even parked the car. I am going to break down every single new rule, every zone, every fine amount, and every action you need to take before you touch that steering wheel again. Do not skip ahead. Do not fast forward, because the change buried deepest in this update, the one that crushed drivers in the test zones over the last 6 months, the one that almost nobody is talking about, is the one that is going to hit the most people the hardest. And once you hear it, you are going to realize that virtually every driver on I-95 is already violating it without knowing it exists. Before anything else, if you know anyone who drives I-95, send this to them right now, not when it is over, this second, because enforcement in certain jurisdictions along this corridor begins at midnight tonight, and a driver who does not know what changed is a driver who is going to open their mailbox to a very expensive surprise. One share, 3 seconds of your time. It could protect someone from a $300 fine or worse. Do it now, then come back, because we have serious ground to cover. Let us start with what I-95 actually is, because the scale of this matters. This highway does not just connect a few cities. It is the spine of the entire eastern United States. Stretching 1,926 miles from Houlton, Maine at the Canadian border, all the way down to Miami, Florida, I-95 threads through 15 states and the District of Columbia. On its busiest segments, it moves an estimated 300,000 vehicles every single day. Through the urban corridors linking Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and Miami, that number surges dramatically during peak travel windows. By any honest measurement, this is the most critical and most heavily traveled highway in America. It is also, by federal data, one of the most lethal. Federal highway safety records compiled through 2025 place I-95 consistently among the top 3 most dangerous highway corridors in the nation, calculated by fatal crashes per mile. In the most recent 5-year reporting window, more than 14,000 injury crashes occurred on I-95 and its direct connectors. Over 1,100 people died. Digest that. More than 1,100 lives ended on this road in 5 years. These are not abstract statistics. These are fathers and mothers and children who did not make it home. And those numbers are precisely why the federal government, operating alongside all 15 state departments of transportation that share authority over this corridor, committed 2 full years to designing and testing an entirely new enforcement model built specifically for this road. That model activates in full tomorrow, and it is nothing like anything that has come before it. The old enforcement system that most drivers have spent their entire driving lives navigating worked on a simple formula. A trooper spots a violation. He pursues the vehicle. He initiates a stop. He writes the ticket. That formula depended entirely on human presence, human timing, and human judgment. It was inconsistent by nature. It caught a fraction of actual violations, and experienced drivers had learned, consciously or not, how to read that inconsistency and stay just inside the edge of it. That era is finished on I-95 as of tomorrow. What replaces it is a fully integrated automated enforcement network, high-definition cameras, multi-point sensor arrays, license plate recognition technology capable of scanning and processing thousands of vehicles per hour, while simultaneously cross-referencing those plates against live state registration databases. Overhead radar systems mounted on gantries that can clock your exact speed without a single officer anywhere near the location. And behind all of it, a centralized violation processing system that generates the notice, links it to the registered owner of your vehicle, and dispatches it automatically. No stop, no conversation, no moment to explain. The fine is in motion before your car reaches the next mile marker. There are 7 specific changes taking effect tomorrow. Every one of them applies to you. Here's exactly what they are. The first change is the dramatic expansion of automated speed enforcement through overhead gantry-mounted radar systems. Speed cameras on I-95 were historically confined to active construction zones. Under the rules that activate tomorrow, permanent automated speed enforcement goes live at 47 new locations across the corridor, including stretches where no construction exists at all, selected entirely because crash data flagged them as high risk. The violation threshold has been slashed. The prior standard allowed up to 11 miles per hour over the posted limit before an automated notice was triggered. That margin is now 6 miles per hour over in standard zones and just 3 miles per hour over in high-density traffic areas, which means any segment falling within 10 miles of a major metropolitan interchange. A first automated speed violation in a standard zone starts at $75. In a high-density area, it opens at $125. Repeat violations inside a rolling 12-month window escalate to $250 and then to $400, with the possibility of license points added at the discretion of the recording state. The second change is the activation of minimum speed enforcement in designated segments. This is the rule almost no one is discussing. This is the rule that generated the single highest volume of violations during pilot testing. And this is almost certainly the rule that is going to shock the most people tomorrow. Every major American highway carries a minimum posted speed alongside its maximum. On most I-95 travel lanes, that floor is 45 miles per hour. Crawling below that threshold in a through lane is not merely annoying to other drivers, it is illegal, and it is statistically more dangerous than exceeding the upper limit, because it manufactures violent speed differentials that directly trigger braking chain reactions, sudden lane changes, and rear-end collision sequences. New sensors capable of detecting sub-minimum speeds are now live in designated segments. If you are traveling at 35 or 40 miles per hour in an active through lane on a segment where the legal minimum is 45, your plate gets recorded and a violation notice gets generated. The fine for a first offense starts at $50. This does not apply to the right shoulder during a breakdown. It applies to vehicles moving continuously below the minimum in active travel lanes when traffic is flowing freely. If you have ever slowed to 40 miles per hour in the right lane while searching for your exit or dealing with your vehicle, the new system would have ticketed you automatically. Starting tomorrow, it will. The third change is the deployment of mandatory minimum following distance enforcement in high-density corridor segments. Most drivers do not know this technology is even possible. Overhead sensor systems combining radar and infrared measurement can now calculate in real time the exact gap between consecutive vehicles traveling in the same lane. in designated high-density segments within 15 miles of a major urban interchange, allowing less than a 2-second following gap to persist for more than 4 consecutive seconds is now a...
To anyone, there are a few people kind of freaking out, like, it's not right, it's too much. To understand, it's kind of already being done. And when you think about it, it's kind of the same pinging technology, where if these cameras and certain vehicles, like cop cars, because tow companies had used that for years, right? Or like parking authority places going around, and it would just scan the license plates while they drive around. Oh, we got a hit, we got a hit. The thing would go off. Right, so it's going to make it probably a lot easier and safer too when it comes to tickets and chases and things like that. Yeah, like when you're too, if you have a cell phone and that's pinging on all the different towers and stuff as you go along. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Tight like a fat couple caught up in coach for my bros and my blokes. Mamacitas y amigas, yes, all of my folks. If the whole world starts to go up in smoke, we're riding together and we're going for broke. But I'm trying to make sure that don't happen. Climb on this boat with me, ride with your captain. Maintain yourself in an orderly fashion. Calm and collected, but I still need your passion. This is a call to action, packed with exact facts. Building more bridges than you will with a hashtag. Big dog barking, send the back cats running. Revolution coming now, ain't that something? That's a good idea.
A recordable violation. The system measures vehicle speed, calculates the distance from your front bumper to the rear bumper of the vehicle ahead, and flags violations automatically. A first offense costs $100. A second within 12 months costs $200. 2 seconds sounds generous until you do the math. At 65 miles per hour, 2 seconds of following distance puts you roughly 190 feet behind the car in front of you. That is more than half a football field of space. The traffic culture on I-95, particularly in the Northeast, has spent decades normalizing gaps of half a second or less during heavy flow. That culture is now a ticketable offense. The fourth change is the activation of distracted driving detection cameras at 23 interchange and ramp locations across the corridor. These cameras deploy image recognition technology to identify handheld device use as drivers move through designated zones. During an 8-month pilot at 3 corridor locations, the system detected handheld device use in an average of 12.4% of all vehicles captured during peak hours. These detections are not interpretive guesses. If the camera system identifies a driver holding a phone or device above the dashboard in a manner consistent with active use, the image is flagged and a human reviewer confirms it before any notice is issued. A first distracted driving violation at these fixed camera locations costs $150 in most corridor states. In New York and New Jersey, where enhanced distracted driving penalties already exist under state law, a first offense can reach $450 plus additional surcharges. The fifth change is the full expansion of HOV lane enforcement, using a combination of overhead license plate readers and occupancy detection sensors. If you use restricted HOV lanes during peak hours, this affects you directly. The new sensor infrastructure uses infrared imaging combined with machine learning occupancy estimation to flag vehicles that appear to carry a single occupant while traveling in lanes restricted to 2 or more during enforcement windows. Flagged vehicles are confirmed by a reviewing officer via live camera feed or intercepted by a patrol unit responding to the real-time system alert. HOV violation fines vary across the corridor. Florida starts at $65, Virginia at $125, Maryland at $90, Delaware and New Jersey at $75, New York and Connecticut at $150. Every figure applies on top of any license points the recording state chooses to assess. The sixth change introduces automated weight in motion enforcement for commercial vehicles at 31 designated corridor locations. New sensors embedded directly in the travel lanes can measure the gross vehicle weight of a commercial truck moving at highway speed without requiring that truck to exit to a static scale. When a commercial vehicle registers above the legal gross weight limit for the state where the sensor is located, an automated alert fires to the nearest enforcement unit and the vehicle is flagged for mandatory.
Susan Collins secured $3.6 million to help end veteran homelessness.
When the handies in my bloodstream, I see the devil open his arms to hug me. I'm tripping on my words cause of the 100 shots. I keep going till I pass, I don't wanna stop. Jealousy's an ugly word, and guess what? You's an ugly motherfucker word. You're hating on me cause I do the things you wish you could. You acting like you want beef, I wish a nigga would. I'm feeling good, cognac, bring my mojo back. You see you lie about your life and that's a no-no, Jack. You do what you do like you doing it for TV. I do it from the corazon, like my family by your home. People claim they love me and they care about me. See, that's a lot of truth is what they say when they went out, man. Who's real, who's plastic, fatherless? See, I'm a facet, but I keep it 100% real to the classic. Come down my dozen, I want my money back, cause I spent millions, matter of fact, millions, through the years, shit, I ran across a millions, 90% of the chicks I dealt with were floozies, 10% were good, but I will say no names, kid, cause there was only one, shit, she knows who she is, basically, y'all, I'm in this life alone, and the only true love comes from up above, and I be slipping up on the big homie, but I'm human, God, please reach down and hold me, cause on earth, man, it's hard to keep a straight face. I know even you wonder why you made this place. People say, Tone, we love it when you fucked up. It's like you turn into a different person, that's what's up. Now that's some grimy shit to say to me, y'all feel me? It's like they singing that they don't like the real me. I keep rambling, no place to come home. Straight to the city.
Susan Collins supported Trump's Medicaid cuts. Health
Hello, wonderful person, this is Anton, and today we're going to discuss something that's most likely going to be happening on planet Earth in the next few years. A massive anomaly that you see behind me that's now brewing in the Pacific Ocean. Something that some scientists are now referring to as Godzilla El Nino, also known as Super El Nino. And though this might sound like some kind of a science fiction disaster movie, right now the data behind this is actually pretty real, and the effects from this will be quite serious in certain locations on the planet. And so in this video, let's actually discuss exactly what El Nino is, why this particular El Nino seems to appear just a little bit extreme, and what this very likely means for the overall weather patterns on the planet in 2027, 2028, and beyond. But in essence, based on some of the recent forecasts from the European Center for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts, we now have a pretty clear picture that El Nino is definitely approaching, and that the overall temperatures in the Central Pacific seem to be increasing way more than before, and way above average temperatures that we usually expect around the same time this year, with some models suggesting the increase by about 4 degrees Celsius, which means that if these numbers do hold, we're looking at one of the strongest El Nino events in the last century, and potentially surpassing historical records in 1997 and more recently in 2015. But before we dive into numbers and the discovery, let's talk about what exactly this is and why a patch of water in the Pacific Ocean seems to then dictate what happens in regions in North America, South America, Australia, and Europe, and dramatically changes various weather patterns for at least several years. And so let's dive into the science of ENSO, or the El Nino Southern Oscillation, and discuss these latest studies. And so all this basically happens right here, literally in the middle of the Pacific. And in some sense you can think of this region as a kind of a giant bathtub. Now usually, when there are no major events, there are actually a lot of winds going westwards. We usually refer to these as trade winds. Basically winds blowing from the east to the west, or from South America toward Indonesia and Australia. And these winds tend to push a lot of warm surface water westwards, basically causing a kind of a warm water pileup near Australia and Asia. And as warm water moves west, a lot of cold, nutrient-rich water rises from the deep ocean somewhere near the coast of South America in a process referred to as upwelling. And this basically keeps the Eastern Pacific relatively cool, filled with nutrients, and actually filled with fish. While at the same time, the Western Pacific remains kind of warm and also produces a lot of rainy conditions in this region. And this is normally referred to as the neutral phase. This is actually what we have right now when I'm making this video. But sometimes we also get two additional stages or two additional phenomena with opposite results: El Nino and La Nina. And when El Nino begins, these trade winds either weaken or even reverse completely, with all this massive warm pool of water in the west now starting to slide back towards South America and stopping the upwelling of cold water, which actually completely reorganizes the entire climate in this region and completely changes weather patterns, starting in the Pacific first. But this also creates a kind of a feedback loop referred to as Bjerknes feedback, with weaker winds creating even more warm water in the east, which then weakens the winds even more and makes the water even warmer. And so this cycle tends to continue for several months until this warm water eventually depletes and the system resets. And though normally these changes in temperature are not particularly large, sometimes just 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, in certain cases, during certain events, the temperature increases so much that it then creates major climatic changes on the entire planet. And that's because El Nino is a kind of a global heat injector. As a matter of fact, more recently in 2023-2024, one of these events contributed to the hottest year on record. Actually, several locations on the planet recorded peak temperatures in certain...
Kayak told me hotel prices just dropped. Now we can finally stop scrolling for travel hacks.
This manager, yeah, you, and bring along the redhead. Any wrong moves and both of y'all get left dead. The rest of y'all hit the deck, faces on the ground. Cause if I hear a sound, everybody feels the pound. Let's go.
On you today, they won't take my resume. So kiss my ass, motherfucker, you gon' pay.
You're not dealing with a normal country. The defense minister, Israel Katz, also said Israel has no intention of withdrawing from Lebanon, southern Lebanon, which is an integral part of the security zone and essential for the defense of the Galilee settlements and the IDF forces. As Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have clarified, Israel will not leave the security zone in Lebanon. Now, there has been a lot of talks about the military side of everything that's happened, and again we have to go back to the Prime Minister because he said that we have achieved massive things, including of course the elimination of Ali Khamenei and the rest of the military leadership, and those who are now in charge are mostly the former mid-ranking people who have been promoted. That's why they all just hide like rats because they don't know how to fight anymore. Let's quickly go back to him. This is from before.
יצאנו למבצעים הללו כדי להכין מעלינו סכנת השמדה מיידית משטר הפשע בעיקר. מלא פעלנו והיו בידיו פצצות אטום והם היו משתמשים בהם. אני מתחייב כאן על קברך היום ואני מתחייב בפניכם אזרחי ישראל. מדינת ישראל לא תהיה אפיזודה חולפת. אנחנו עומדים איתן על האינטרסים החיוניים שלנו. השגנו הישגים כבירים ולא נוותר עליהם. נישאר ברצועת הביטחון בדרום לבנון ככל שידרש, כדי להגן על תושבי הצפון היקרים לנו ועל אזרחי המדינה כולה. כראש ממשלת ישראל אני עומד על כך בתוקף, ושום דבר לא ישנה זאת. וביחס לאיראן, יהיו אשר יהיו ההתפתחויות המדיניות, לא אתן לאיראן להתחמש בנשק גרעיני. כל עוד אני ראש ממשלת ישראל, זה לא יקרה. למטרה קדושה זו, הקדשתי את חיי מאז נפילתך היום.
The objective remains the same, to fight for your sovereignty and to fight for humanity against Islamic terror. Now, a few things to discuss. Peaceful night, as you can see the live feed from southern Beirut. Nice. Dagenham Dave says whether by Trump or IRGC, they are in trouble. Wait, who? Which? I'm confused. I wonder if RFG had an accident in his pants and had to leave. It is a mystery. It is a soap opera, Drama Queens, coming this fall to daytime TV, Days of the Islamic Republic. There's going to be so many movies and TV shows made of this mess in the future. Is the IRGC rearming now? Nuclear ambitions. They have what they already have, so they're going to have to play with whatever they already have. And before the 28th of February war, and before the 12th of June war last year, they were fully armed, they had a lot of money, they had a lot of personnel, a lot of resources, a lot of support, and it took them about 30 seconds to fall apart. So it doesn't really matter, let them rearm, let them have fun. Love JD Vance says 90932 something something something. Take the straight is not spelled correctly, use it to fund the rebels. Not a bad idea. Mark Levin says that 50% of the Republicans want a new regime. There's a lot of polls out there, different results. Yes, is the blockade back on since the IRGC closed the straits? And negotiating with lunatics is maddening. But if they close the Strait of Hormuz, then the US should return to the blockade. So the interesting thing about this is that we have not had any rash reaction from the Americans. So the Strait of Hormuz has had some disruptions today. In fact, I'm going to go to the live feed that we do have, if we still have it. Yes, we do have it. So this is the Strait of Hormuz right now. And there is activity, very slow. Some of those, so the red ones are oil tankers and the green ones are commercial vessels, have stayed around the strait because the Islamic Republic are now telling some of them, or like a chunk of them, not all of them, they're telling a huge chunk of them, you can't cross, we're not going to ask for money because we're not allowed 60 days, but you have to give us notice 48 hours in advance and we're going to vet you, we're going to check and then we're going to let you go. So technically it's not closed, but it's being disrupted. So the flow is being disrupted. The Americans had a chance to kick off. Somehow, the Americans are not overreacting yet. President Trump has turned up the volume in terms of rhetoric. He's now threatening them, but while he's saying all those things, nothing has happened by the US military yet, because they're taking their time, they're monitoring the situation, because if they take the bait, we're just going to go back to square one. It is no point. Oh, you close the strait, we close the strait from the other side, and then we're just literally back 2 weeks ago. There's no point. What you need to do is to go to the new phase, which is basically what's supposed to be happening now, for 60 days, and then, buy time, come up with a strategy, talk to the allies, the Arab states, in the Middle East, and then go from there. So they haven't taken the bait yet, Americans, but obviously if the disruptions get worse, yes, the US will have to intervene a little bit. They don't have to close the strait, they could just go fly and bomb some of the speedboats that the IRGC Navy has. This is the president I voted for. I sincerely hope that the IRGC tests him. Yeah, the more they do it, they're just helping the case. Would love for Greg the Goat to stay busy for a while. Yes, Greg the Goat is still here, very much awaiting the next round of events. Bang on Dave says, when booing the IRGC anthem, turn your back on the flag on the field. Yes. Do we have any updates on the women's football team? Yeah, they're fine. They're back, obviously, because they were threatened, and their families were threatened, and they're all now behaving. Keep your head down, be nice, go on the Islamic Republic State TV, say nice things. That's basically how it works in Iran. Glenbeck and others are dissing the Iranian people for not rising up, but they don't understand what's going on. They were explicitly told not to. So what's that about? Makes me so mad. Yes, they were literally told not to. By everyone. By Prime Minister Netanyahu, by Admiral Brad Cooper, by President Trump, by the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. Don't do it. You're going to get killed. Not yet. You have to wait. Just patience. It's sad. It's a long, depressing period. But that's the transition. It takes time. It's not really easy. If you go on the street, you're going to get killed. Don't do it. Says if Hezbollah defeat will impact the Islamic Republic. Yeah. Directly. Not even like, oh, there will be a semi-impact. They're going to lose their only influence left. Their only real influence left outside of Iran in the region. They've lost Assad and Syria. Hamas are just basically just running around like a bunch of weirdos. They don't even know what they're doing. The Houthis in Yemen have lost all their faxes, so they don't even know what to do. They've just gone back to the caves like cavemen. And it's just Hezbollah. And if they lose that, and that's a direct stepchild of the Islamic occupation in Iran, then that's it. They don't have any other protection. Does the MOU say anything about the Lebanon-Israel agreement that would disarm Hezbollah? And why would the IRGC think that they can force Israel to terms when it's not a party to MOU? They think they can force because they have the leverage, which is the Strait of Hormuz. So they are basically, because President Trump has been giving them carrots, they think they can just keep taking. But today showed that there is a line, there's a boundary, you can't cross that. And now President Trump is talking about disarming Hezbollah for the first time. So you pushed and pushed and pushed, now you're rushing the Americans.
Let's see that again. She opens the Gemini app and asks for help hanging pictures. Oh my, they're up against it here.
Oh, what a line-up from Gemini.
A true work of art if ever I've seen it.
You can get anything you want on the internet. So why are we still taking gen eds like this? At Sophia Learning, we have a solution. Sophia offers online, college-level courses that are designed to transfer for credit, helping thousands of people graduate. Use Sophia and get ahead.
Work overnight. You can't just go drop weapons. The IRGs are going to pick them up. It takes time because there are networks in Iran that work with Mossad, work with CIA, and obviously they are also linked to the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, but this sort of stuff takes time. Eventually you're going to have to use that. Only people on the ground in Iran can bring down the regime. You can't bring down a regime by dropping bombs. That's not how it works. Jeez. Girly bath instead of Riley bath. Brilliant. Yeah. Ayar cheese instead of Arab cheese. Brilliant. And girly bath instead of Riley bath. I'm loving these new nicknames for the Islamic Republic officials. he should start the Society for Protection of Virgin Goats. Amazing, hilarious. But let's double check. Also, tomorrow morning, for those of you, tomorrow morning UK time, these are the time zones right now. For those of you who are interested from around the world, we're going to have a very, very dramatic live stream for you guys from Westminster, London, where the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is going to announce his resignation. It's probably going to be about 10 a.m., 11 a.m., sometimes it's 8 a.m. I need to double check the exact timing. In fact, I will try and do speech. Hang on. Let's double check. Yes, apparently it could be. Oh no. We don't know the time yet, but it could be 8 a.m., it could be 10 a.m., or it could be 11 a.m. It's usually in the morning, so stay tuned. We're going to have a very, very interesting and dramatic live stream. We're going to show you the live speech on this channel, and of course I'm going to get a lot of popcorn, and we're going to enjoy the fall of Keir Starmer. And all those idiots who are saying Keir Starmer is never going to resign. You're not laughing now, are you? I keep telling you guys to listen to me, and you never listen. Why aren't the other Gulf states calling out Lebanon? Why would they call out Lebanon? What did Lebanon do? Or joining with them to help them rid themselves of Hezbollah instead of relying on Israel? Same reason they haven't done anything else either. They are terrified. They are small countries, most of them. They are terrified of missiles and drones. That's why they're a bunch of weak, feeble idiots. The Arab state leadership are a bunch of rich dictators who don't know how to fight. They've never fought in their lives. They are pampered. They are privileged. They just don't like conflict because it also affects their financial markets and business. They like to make money. They don't like wars. So even if that means they would rather have their enemy, the Islamic Republic, right next door, but keep them close but slightly apart, they would rather do that than actually ask for trouble. That's why they don't want to ask for trouble. What if he announces he's staying? It doesn't matter because he's still going. Because Andy Burnham has been elected in the special election, the by-election we just had, and he's launching. He's already threatened. He said, if you don't resign tomorrow morning, I'm going to get your cabinet ministers to all resign, which is chaos, and then he's going to have to go anyway. So it's going to be a leadership challenge, and he will lose the vote. It doesn't matter, he will go. Anyway, we're going to continue this conversation now with the members of 2CTV Plus, uncensored and slightly more informal, even more informal than this. Become a member of 2CTV Plus today by using the promo code YT20 to get 20% off annual memberships by visiting offers.2c.tv. You can see on the screen, offers.2c.tv, and you will get full access to our documentaries, original series, interviews, and our chat forum if you want to talk to me and like-minded members directly, including in the next 2 minutes where I'm going to be on our chat forum, our private Discord server. So become a member. Go on the menu, click on discuss to discuss things, and then get access to Discord, and then I will see you guys right there. I'll send notification to everyone in case you don't know how to. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mario 2C, and we are the media.
I'm obsessed with my results. I think I was most excited for my lips treatment. One of my fears with filler was, will I look like myself? Will I be recognizable? My goal was for people not to realize. I was treated with Juvederm Ultra XC, which temporarily improves fullness in the lips and gave me the bolder lip look I wanted.
Hezbollah terrorists are trapped in a tunnel. the IDF is encircling an underground Hezbollah headquarters in southern Lebanon, and it seems that this is a very painful thing for the Revolutionary Guards in Iran. A crisis in Lebanon is taking shape. A threat against Hormuz is happening on the other side to the east, and an attempt to save the negotiations between the United States and Iran is on its way. The threats continue, and the talks have begun. The United States and Iran are discussing the implementation of this agreement. United States Vice President J.D. Vance has landed in Switzerland, and direct talks are currently taking place. We will bring you everything that we have on this subject. And secret documents of Khamenei were read live on air and exposed for everyone the rift at the top of the Revolutionary Guards in Iran. The real power of Tehran has been exposed, and now the question is, who will profit billions from the removal of the sanctions? Right now, the United States and Qatar are planning to transfer billions of dollars in frozen funds to Iran and in Israel here. We make it clear, we will continue to operate in Lebanon against the Hezbollah terrorist organization and their violations. I'm Amir Pinto with Bismat Shoshani, and we are here on Boots on the Ground. We bring you the whole truth about what's happening in Israel and everything you need to know about what's happening in our neighborhood, the Middle East. And today is June 21. So let's begin. Against the background of opening the direct contacts in Switzerland between the United States and Iran, the dispute over the Strait of Hormuz stands at the center. Iran's Revolutionary Guards announced last night the closure of the strategic shipping route using their usual excuse. Look what Israel is doing in Lebanon, and claiming violations of ceasefire commitments by the United States. On the other hand, the United States Central Command firmly rejected the Iranian claims and said that the tracking data shows the steady movement of dozens of merchant ships throughout the strait, carrying millions of barrels of oil to global markets. The reason for the Iranian announcement, as mentioned, is the strikes by our forces in Lebanon. And let us make this clear. The IDF is responding to repeated violations by the Hezbollah terrorist organization. Just one day after the heartbreak announcement by the IDF spokesperson's unit about the fall of additional fighters in the difficult incident in Lebanon, the terrorist organization continues to attack our troops that are operating in southern Lebanon. It's important to understand that right now we are in a hold fire instead of a ceasefire. This is a very difficult situation for the IDF. And I do not think that there is another country in the world that has been forced to stand like this against an Iranian terrorist organization that is firing at its troops from Lebanon. Right now, in the village of Tibnit, on the Ali Taher Ridge in southern Lebanon, the operational center of the gravity of Hezbollah's Badr forces is located inside the tunnels with 30 terrorists from the terrorist organization that are trapped. Hezbollah is acting to prevent the IDF from continuing to encircle the tunnels. It is doing this through high trajectory fire, mortar shells, and drones. And second, before the IDF destroyed this terrorist stronghold, an order came to hold fire. They said that right now, the instruction to the forces are to hold fire. The IDF is allowed to fire only in order to remove threats in the area of the Yellow Line, as well as the immediate threats against our troops, also in the area north of the line. And in the IDF, they emphasize that the forces are not advancing north. And according to the IDF spokesperson's unit, during the night, Hezbollah launched more than 50 launches towards our troops, which is a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement. And in response, our troops struck dozens of terrorist infrastructures, rocket launch positions, weapons warehouses, and headquarters of the organization. But after Iran threatened, the United States pressured Israel, and the IDF received an order from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and also the Defense Minister Israel Katz to hold fire in Lebanon without withdrawing from the areas under the control of the forces. And right now, every violation receives a measured response, And since the night, the IDF has carried out extensive strikes in the areas of Tyre, Zidon, and Abtia because of the government's policy not to escalate the fight. The IDF is currently avoiding strikes in the Lebanese Bekaa Valley and in Beirut. Prime Minister Netanyahu instructed the IDF to respond forcefully to every attack by the Hezbollah terrorist organization and to act to remove threats against our troops. In response to Hezbollah's attack over the past 2 days, the IDF struck 300 terror targets and eliminated about 100 terrorists. If Hezbollah returns to attacking us, Prime Minister Netanyahu promised that Israel will strike the terrorist organization again with force. But after Hezbollah ran to hide like a coward behind the robe of the Ayatollah regime in Iran, the Revolutionary Guard entered the picture. The Revolutionary Guard announced that Iran sees itself as released from any commitment or agreement concerning the opening of the Strait of Hormuz on the grounds of the continuation of Zionist attacks in Lebanon. The announcement stated that the Strait of Hormuz will continue to be closed to shipping.
I respect Graham Plattner's service, but he doesn't respect ours.
Plattner falsely accused a military hero of war crimes.
He said a Purple Heart recipient didn't deserve to live after being shot. And Plattner blames his Nazi tattoo on military culture?
Graham Plattner's a fraud.
It's the Make This the Summer event at Key Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Newcastle. Right now you can lease a new 2026 Jeep Wrangler Sport S for just $279 a month. Key Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Newcastle, where satisfaction comes standard.
In connection to Israel and its supporters until further notice. This is another escalation in the Iranian messaging. Against the background of the regional tension and the ongoing confrontation in Lebanon, and under the shadow of this threat, a new round of negotiations on the wall in this Middle East region opened up this morning. It seems that Iran is doing everything it can so that the world will focus on Israel, and not on the fact that it is working with full force to save the Hezbollah terrorist organization. Iranian representatives arrived in the host city in Switzerland hours before the United States Vice President J.D. Vance, while Tehran announced that it is closing the Strait of Hormuz again, following the Israeli strikes in Lebanon. They were also joined by the leaders of Pakistan, who are working to advance the Memorandum of Understanding. And according to the sources that are familiar with the matter, the plan, which is still in its final stages, will initially allow Iran to use the $6 billion currently held in Qatar to purchase food, medicine, and other humanitarian products. This amount is part of about $100 billion in Iranian cash that has been frozen around the world, much of it coming from revenues from oil sales that were blocked abroad because of the sanctions. And according to the proposed plan, Iran's central bank will be able to order humanitarian goods using funds that were previously frozen, with the transactions carried out under international supervision. So look, for Iran, the nuclear issue is not only a matter of national security, it is also an internal political decision. When Khamenei shows weakness, the conservatives and the radicals, they struggle over the balance of power in Tehran and over the dictating policy. The reacting to a quick agreement is an Iranian interest, and the big winners from it will actually be the Revolutionary Guards themselves. So, as you can see, there's a lot ahead of us, so let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, with me is Mati Shoshani, and we are here at Boots on the Ground. We bring you the whole truth about what's happening in Israel, about this war against the Revolutionary Guards in Iran, which is the head of the crumbling axis of evil in the Middle East. In a second before we begin, I want to call on you to go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, TBN Israel, so you never miss another update of what's happening on the ground here, for me or for Mati Shoshani. Look for us on our social media accounts, Yair Pinto and Mati Shoshani, and keep praying for the situation, because many Israelis are still juggling reserve duty while trying to get back to work and to handle their day-to-day lives. It's not easy. Your body is tired, your mind is overloaded, and the pressure doesn't stop when the uniform comes off. I've been there, coming home from reserves, trying to be present for my family, catching up at work while still feeling like I'm in a survival mode. takes strength, energy, and faith to push through. That's why I started using VID. It's an Israeli supplement made from red grape cells that help improve the blood flow to your heart, your brain, and your muscles. For me, that meant better focus, more energy, and fewer days of that foggy, burnt-out feeling. I started using it during my reserve TP, and I'm still using it today. There's also coffee and a tea version that you can take in the mornings, but either way, it works. So if you want to give it a try, go to vinyatbnisrael.com. That's vinyatbnisrael.com or call 800-638-1944. 800-638-1944. So faith helped me stay grounded and Vinya helped me stay sharp. Look, there is something strange, and I want to bring in our Middle East expert Mati Shoshani, because it seems that according to all the leaks known to us regarding the agreement that was signed between Washington and Tehran, there is a blatant asymmetry in this agreement, one that makes it unreasonable, not to say even delusional. According to the context text, all of Iran's requests are expected to be fulfilled immediately. It is also receiving things that it never dreamed of receiving. And by contract, everything that it supposedly gives is postponed to the future and demands on vague negotiations. So right now the formula is clear: cancellation of sanctions on Iran, release of frozen assets, immediate permits for oil exports, and a commitment to a $300 billion reconstruction program. The Strait of Hormuz will be open as it was open before this war, and Iran receives a bundle of promises around the nuclear issue, the preservation of its ballistic missiles, the unity of the arenas with Lebanon, and additional issues. And all of this,
for warm homes and hot meals, you need energy that handles it all. Natural gas delivers versatile energy that keeps Maine moving. Summit Natural Gas. Comfort delivered.
When it comes to my appearance, I believe in being transparent. I'm sharing with you my favorite aesthetic treatments that I incorporate as part of my routine. For the last 5 years, I have been seeing a doctor to get treated with Botox Cosmetic to temporarily improve the look of my moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines. Let me tell you, I've been so pleased with how natural looking the results are. Come along as I visit Dr. Melissa Levine for a Botox Cosmetic and Juvenile Collection of Fillers consultation. Here I am right before receiving treatment.
For 60 days, which can also be extended, by the way. In simple words, you will open Hormuz and we will get you what you want and more. Anyone with eyes in their head can see an imbalance in the cries out to heaven because it doesn't match. This is an uneven agreement. This is not the structure of an agreement between equals, but the structure of surrender. And what's unbelievable is that the side surrendering is supposedly the one that won this war. Now, it is clear to me that it is also possible to look at this through a long-term strategic security prism and see logic in the American. Trump replaced, at least temporarily, the war with Iran with a war against global economic crisis. The open Hormuz, the oil is flowing, the price of gasoline is dropping, and inflation is cooling. A window for lowering interest rates has opened for Wall Street, and Trump arrives battered, but on his feet. At the midterm elections, he has a better chance. The president cannot control interest rates, so he turns foreign policy into a monetary tool. But from Israel's perspective, the agreement is a disaster. Nothing less than that. It leaves Israel at the highest level of exposure to an Iranian military and nuclear threat, even more than the exposure in which former President Barack Obama left it. And the lesson is also deadly. Washington's central ally learns that the American umbrella is subject to the administration's internal timetable and to the global economy. The 60-day stopwatch for progress towards a permanent agreement is an exercise in time. Clause 3 states that the validity of the document can be extended by mutual agreements. As long as Iran enjoys sanctions relief and an open oil tap, it has no real incentive to close a permanent agreement. It would prefer to extend the temporary one and preserve the nuclear status quo. Time works in its favor. The only thing that Israel can hold on is that the hour of the test is closed. If miraculously, at the end of the 60th day,